Have you ever heard someone say it to you? Why spend so much time fussing over a few plants? At your age, shouldn't you be doing something more useful? And maybe, just for a second, something inside you went quiet, a small ache you couldn't quite explain. If that has ever happened to you, stay with me to the very end, because today, I'll tell you something almost no one says out loud. I've lived a long time, and watching people closely, I noticed something strange. The ones whose hearts had gone hard and cold with age kept their distance from the soil. The ones who never lost their warmth all the way to the end were almost always quietly tending something alive. A single pot on a windowsill, a few minutes each evening with a watering can. That is not a small hobby, that is the habit of a person who has not given up on life. And here's what may surprise you. If you love growing things, you are not an ordinary person at all. You carry 5 rare traits, and most people who have them never even realize it. Let me show you what they are. By the end, you'll understand why some people grow more peaceful as they age, while others grow more afraid. If something here touches you, leave a quiet like, so I know you're with me. The first trait, you know how to wait. The world praises fast people. Quick decisions, quick results. When I was young, I believed that too. But after a long life, I've learned the truly precious things are rarely fast. They are deep, and a garden refuses to hurry for anyone. You water it today, and tomorrow there is no flower. Some days the plant looks exactly as it did, and an impatient person thinks, is it dead? Why am I even bothering? But you know better. Even in the hours when nothing seems to happen, underground, the roots are still growing. The Czech writer Karel Čapek, in his book The Gardener's Year, wrote, "A garden is never finished. In that sense, it is like the human world and all human undertakings. Here's the secret most people miss. Waiting is not doing nothing. Waiting is doing today's small thing and refusing to yank tomorrow's answer out of the ground before it's ready. Life is the same. When we're young, if we can't see the result, we panic. The child isn't settling fast enough. The body isn't what it was. But you, standing at your pot, waiting, you are not behind in life. You are proof that something is still rooting deep down where no one can see. Let me ask you gently, is there something you've been demanding too quickly? An answer, a change in someone you love? The garden teaches without a word. The long waiting before the bloom is already part of life too. The second trait, you notice what others walk right past. Most people look at a plant and say, nice leaves, pretty flower, oh, it's wilting, and there they stop. But your eye doesn't stop. You see the tip of a leaf going dry, the stem leaning more tiredly than yesterday, the plant slowly turning its body toward where the light has moved. That is not good eyesight. That is a heart that has grown fine and attentive. A plant never says, I'm thirsty, never says, I'm cold. Yet you read its silent signals anyway, in the color of a leaf, the give of a branch. And here's why this matters. People, too, as they age, stop announcing their pain in loud words. They tell you in small signs. A spouse's quiet sigh, a child's short answer on the phone, the shadow behind an old friend's smile. Most people miss it. The ones who catch it are usually those who've spent years in quiet conversation with something that cannot speak. So often the people we love say, I'm fine, when they are not. The garden taught you to see beneath the surface, and that same gift lets you see the tired look on the face of someone sitting right beside you. Is there someone close to you whose small change you might be missing simply because they're always there, always saying they're fine? The third trait, the one closest to my heart, you have never run out of love. Gardening is mostly something we do alone. No one cheers, no one praises you. You turn the soil, pull a withered leaf, and stand a long while just looking. From outside, it seems you're doing nothing. But inside, much is happening. A word that stung yesterday. Someone you owed an apology to long ago. And strangely, as your hands move through the soil, those thoughts begin to settle. The edges of your heart grow a little less sharp. There's real science behind that calm, not just poetry. Researchers found a common soil bacterium, Mycobacterium vaccae, that through simple contact with the earth helps trigger serotonin, the chemical tied to our sense of well-being. So when your mind quiets with your hands in the dirt, that isn't imagination. The earth is, in a real way, tending to you. And a large 2023 review of older adults found that working with plants significantly reduced depression in seniors, and it worked best not for those who only watched, but for those who got their hands in it. For people like you. You may be living through one of those quiet seasons. The house is still, the children gone to their own lives, the day long. Some people can't bear that silence, but you carry it differently. You smell the soil, watch a leaf, and somewhere in the stillness, you meet your own heart again. I learned this late, and I'll say it plainly. Real loneliness is not the hours we spend alone. Real loneliness is a heart with nothing left to love. So if you love a plant, you are not lonely. You are a person who still has the strength to love. And that is no small thing. The fourth trait, when something dies, you don't call it the end. You call it a lesson. Anyone who's grown plants long enough knows that ache. You were sure you'd done everything right, and one day the leaves go limp, and no matter what you try, it doesn't come back. And over something so small, you feel a real guilt. Did I water it too much? Not enough light? A young person says, just buy a new one. But you know a life is not a thing you can simply return and replace. So you do something quietly remarkable. You grieve a little, then you reach back into the soil. Were the roots rotted? Was the earth too wet? From outside it looks like clearing away a dead plant. But in that moment you've become a small scientist, turning a loss into something you can learn from. Life is the same. No one reaches our age without failures. A word spoken too harshly to a child. An apology to a spouse you couldn't say in time. Some failures sit in the chest for years. But what matters is not whether we failed. It's who we become afterward. The truly strong are not those who never fell, but those who learned something from where they fell. If you once let a plant wither, that doesn't make you careless. If you grew softer at the next living thing, you've already become deeper. And the fifth trait, the rarest. You've learned to hold life and death in the same open hand. When you tend a garden long enough, you don't only watch things bloom, you watch them go. A flower bright yesterday bows its head today. A branch that couldn't survive winter doesn't return in spring. By now you've said many of these small goodbyes, and each taught you how fragile a living thing is, that some things can't be held, no matter how badly you want to. But the garden never ends there. Beside the wilted flower, a new shoot rises. Under the dried stem, a tender leaf pushes through. A tree that looked dead all winter meets the spring wind and blooms as if nothing had happened. Isn't that something? In the garden there is death, and right beside it, life, an ending, and leaning against it, another beginning. Someone once wrote, and I think of these words often, "This year I thought it was dead. I thought even the roots had been torn out." And then, forcing its way through that hard, narrow crack, a small shoot. When you're young, death seems far away, but as you age, it draws closer. The body changes. The news of old friends grows quiet, one empty chair at a time. And so some come to fear growing old itself. What will be left when I'm gone? But I'll leave you a gentler truth. There's a woman in the comments below, 84 years old, who wrote that she has surrounded her whole home with flowers, that the birds wake her at dawn and she hurries out to greet them. She wrote, "Now that the hunger for more has left me, everything is at peace, and everywhere I look there is joy. That is what the garden gives near the end. Not the fear of fading, but the deep fragrance a person only earns by weathering many seasons. A faded flower still leaves its seed. A fallen leaf still prepares next spring. Nothing you tended with love was ever wasted. So here is what I most want you to carry away. You thought you were the one raising the plants. But somewhere along the way, you came to understand the strangest thing. It was never just you tending them. They were quietly tending you. To grow a garden is to grow yourself. You can wait for what is slow. You can read the silent signals of a living thing. You build warmth in the smallest corner of a room. And above all, you have not given up on your own life. If today's words found a home in you, there's a book I'd love to place gently in your hands. It's called The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer, a botanist, a professor, and a woman of the Potawatomi people here in North America. It's a small book, barely 100 pages, and it says the very thing our gardens have whispered all along, that nature does not calculate, it simply gives. And real abundance is not what we hold on to. It's what we pass on. I won't ask you to rush out and buy it. I'll only say this. In a world that grows faster and louder every year, this is a book that sits you down quietly and walks you back into the living world. If you stayed with me to the end of this, I'm certain it will feel like an old friend. There's a link in the comments if you'd like to spend an evening with it. Before we part, what words stayed with you longest today? Leave them in the comments. Just a few. Waiting, the small life, the hours alone, the giving, the blooming again, my own garden. That one line of yours might become the thing that helps another person get through their day. And if this touched you, share it quietly with someone. The family member who loves flowers, the parent whose house has grown too still, the dear one passing through a hard season. Perhaps for them too, this small garden story will be a comfort they've needed for a long time. May the plant on your windowsill be well today, and may the heart that looks at it grow a little more at peace.